Story time about how I ghosted my girlfriend for her sister. Disclaimer is not my story time, send me on Instagram. I, a 24-year-old male, am an asshole. But to be honest, I don't think I can help it. I met my girlfriend in college at a party and we hit it off right away. I asked her to be my girlfriend the very same week I met her. So things moved along really quick. We were dating for 3 months before I met her parents. And I went over to her house and we did the whole thing. But when I met her sister, I fell in love. Her sister was like the male version of me. She likes dirt biking. I like dirt biking. She loves going on solo trips. I do too. We both love skydiving, playing baseball, watching baseball, and my girlfriend, well, she just doesn't have those interests. She's more into getting manicures and pedicures, coloring her hair, making sure she looks skinny in all her pictures, and she always makes me take about 100 pictures before she chooses one to post. So I realized her sister and I were much more compatible. The same day we met, her and I just talked for about 3 hours, while the rest of the family was watching TV. That very same day, she invited me to go on a hike with her and her friends. My girlfriend was actually really happy that her sister and I got along. So I said yes, only to end up making out with her. Part 2 is story time about how I ghosted my girlfriend for her sister. Disclaimer, it's not my story time, send me on Instagram. When she invited me to go hiking, I instantly had to say yes. But in my defense, I tried to convince my girlfriend to come with us. She said no because she didn't want to get sweaty and she didn't want to ruin her hair. So her sister and I made our way to the hiking place with her 2 friends. During the hike, we had so much fun. Her and I basically walked together for 2 hours and just talked. The longer we walked, the more I fell in love with her. And I could tell that the same was happening to her. We decided to walk ahead of her friends just to get some more privacy. And that's when we started making out. Then she instantly started to cry. She felt really bad for her sister. And I felt bad for her sister. But there was just nothing we could do about it. At least not then. When we got back to her parents' house, we decided not to talk about it or even talk to each other. My girlfriend and I went back to college and I didn't see her sister for another 2 weeks. She finally came over to visit and we decided to go to a house party. And this is when things get even more complicated. At the house party, my girlfriend decided to get really drunk. And she was being a brat. So her sister and I had to take care of her the whole night. When we finally took her back home after she was sick, her sister and I started making out again. Part 3 is story time about how I ghosted my girlfriend for her sister. Disclaimer, it's not my story time, send me on Instagram. While my girlfriend was blackout drunk on her bed, her sister and I were making out in the kitchen. I know, I'm an evil man, but I just couldn't help it. That's when I realized that I had fallen in love with my girlfriend's sister over the last 2 weeks. I couldn't believe it myself. That's when I decided to tell her in the kitchen that I couldn't see her sister the same way anymore, and that I kind of wanted to be with her. She told me there was no way that could ever happen and that she would never do that to her sister. Yet she was still making out with her sister's boyfriend. I asked her to tell me how she felt about me, and she basically told me she felt the same way. So over the next few days, I made a decision. I decided to ghost my girlfriend. I didn't have the balls to tell her that I had fallen in love with her sister. I mean, can you blame me? Of course, my girlfriend went nuts trying to contact me, so I ended up blocking her number. She came over to my apartment, but I didn't answer the door. That's when I called her sister up and told her that I was single. But now she's rejecting me and doesn't want to be in a relationship with me. I feel like an asshole because I ghosted my girlfriend and I fell in love with her sister. Now I'm the one ending up alone. Should I get back with my girlfriend or should I try to get with the sister? Story time about how my friend's husband wants to hook up with me and I kind of want to say yes. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. I know everyone in the comment section is going to tell me not to do it. But hear me out. I've known this friend for 6 months now. Let's call her Sally. Sally and I met through some mutual friends. She's just kind of boring. The only real reason we became friends is because our dogs get along. And because they got along, we decided to set up some play dates. Most of the time I would come over to her house because she has a really big yard. So it was good for both of our dogs. FYI, I live in a small apartment, so it made sense for me to go to her house. I would go over to her house once or twice a week, but I actually didn't meet her husband until a few weeks after I started going. So like I said, my friend Sally is really boring. She always manages to take the fun out of everything. Anytime our dogs are playing, she tries to stop them from having fun. She will literally tell them to stop running in her yard where there's no one there. But here's the thing. One day her husband was finally home when I was, and as soon as we met, we were both laughing at everything we were saying. He was so funny, like the complete opposite of Sally. Let me tell you, Sally got jealous right away. In fact, she told me to stop coming over to her house. But her husband found me on Instagram. Part 2 is up. Story time about how my friend's husband keeps trying to hook up with me and I kind of want to. Disclaimer, is not my story time, was sent me on Instagram. After Sally asked me not to come back to her house, her husband found me on Instagram. Let's call him Jerry. Like I said in part 1, Jerry and I hit it off right away. We were like kindred spirits, I swear. We were not just attracted to each other, we made each other laugh. As soon as he followed me on Instagram, I DM'd him. He DM'd me right back. That's when he asked me if I wanted to go get a coffee. And of course I said yes. We ended up getting coffee the very next hour. As soon as we sat down with coffee, he started telling me exactly what he wanted. He told me that his wife is boring, which I totally agree with. Ellie's kind of pretty, but her boring personality just takes all of that right away. So I understand him. I mean, if you guys could see me. Then he told me that he was really attracted to me and that he thought we could have fun. I asked him to be more specific, and he said, let's get a hotel room. I said no. How dare you? I mean, I really did, but I was kind of cute about it. And he's like, come on, I know you want to as well. Told him that I did want to, but that he was a married man. To Sally, who was kind of like my fake friend. Then he asked me to go to his car with him so that we could speak privately. Went into his car, and guess what we did? Part 3 is up. Time about how my friend's husband keeps trying to hook up with me and I kind of want to say yes. Disclaimer is not my story time, it's sending me on Instagram. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention in part 1 and 2 that I do have a boyfriend. We finally sat down in his car for some privacy. He went straight for it. He started trying to kiss me and grab at me, but of course, I put a stop to it. I mean, I am a respectable woman. I mean, maybe I did let him cop a field or two. After I got home, I really thought about it. A little background on my boyfriend and I. We've been together for 2 years, and honestly, he's a really good match with Sally. Not that he's boring, but he's just not very fun anymore, and the relationship has lost its spark. And to be honest, now that I think about it, I'm just not even attracted to him anymore. But I do feel bad for him, so I don't want to break up with him only for that reason. Which probably isn't the best reason, right? Anyway, Jerry keeps sending me messages asking me to hook up with him. He even made reservations at a really nice hotel, like a really expensive hotel. The reservation is for 3 nights from now. I do want to say yes, but I do actually feel guilty. I mean, I don't really like Sally or anything, but I did meet her first, so my loyalty should be to her, right? I also do feel bad for my boyfriend, but I truly believe that if I told him about this, he wouldn't even care. Vote in the comments yes or no if I should do this. Wish me luck. Bye. Time about how my friend's husband keeps trying to hook up with me and I kind of want to say yes. Disclaimer is not my story time, it's sending me on Instagram. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention in part 1 and 2 that I do have a boyfriend. We finally sat down in his car for some privacy. He went straight for it. He started trying to kiss me and grab at me, but of course, I put a stop to it. I mean, I am a respectable woman. I mean, maybe I did let him cop a field or two. After I got home, I really thought about it. A little background on my boyfriend and I. We've been together for 2 years, and honestly, he's a really good match with Sally. Not that he's boring, but he's just not very fun anymore, and the relationship has lost its spark. And to be honest, now that I think about it, I'm just not even attracted to him anymore. But I do feel bad for him, so I don't want to break up with him only for that reason. Which probably isn't the best reason, right? Anyway, Jerry keeps sending me messages asking me to hook up with him. He even made reservations at a really nice hotel, like a really expensive hotel. The reservation is for 3 nights from now. I do want to say yes, but I do actually feel guilty. I mean, I don't really like Sally or anything, but I did meet her first, so my loyalty should be to her, right? I also do feel bad for my boyfriend, but I truly believe that if I told him about this, he wouldn't even care. Vote in the comments yes or no if I should do this. Wish me luck. Bye. My boyfriend confessed to me that he's attracted to guys. What should I do? Disclaimer is not my story time, it's sending me on Instagram. My boyfriend and I have been dating for 4 years. 4 years. As you can imagine, his confession was a shock to me. 3 nights ago while we were doing the dirty, he asked me to do some stuff to his bum. And I didn't know what to say. Honestly, I'm not into that, so I said no. After we were done, he asked me why I didn't do it. I told him that it made me feel like it would emasculate him in front of my eyes, and that the thought of him even wanting to do that stuff was a really bad turnoff. Then he said, oh, okay. But the look on his face was weird. I asked him why he wanted that. That's when he said to me that he had been thinking about experimenting. Then he asked me what I thought about it. I told him that I really wasn't into that particular thing, but that we could try other stuff if he wanted to. He then changed the conversation and we didn't touch the topic again. But something made me keep thinking about it. So I took his phone and I started going through his search history. And guess what I found? In his search history, it said, how do I tell my girlfriend I'm attracted to guys? I nearly pooped my pants. I'm not even kidding. I ran to the toilet and pooped. I was sick to my stomach. Part 2 is up. My boyfriend confessed that he's attracted to guys. What should I do? Disclaimer's done my story time instead of me on Instagram. After his confession, I threw his laptop at him. Then he starts explaining himself. He said that he's only been attracted to guys for a few months and that he had been meaning to tell me, but he wasn't sure if he really was attracted or not. That's when I asked him if he was gay or just bi. He said that he thought he was bi because he was still attracted to me. Then I asked him if he had cheated on me with another guy. He stayed quiet for about 10 seconds and finally said no. The fact that he didn't reply right away meant to me that he was lying, and I don't know what to believe anymore. But of course, he asked me not to tell anybody. But it gets worse. He asked me if we could do a threesome. I said no right away. Then he told me that I was being closed off, and that if I really loved him, that I need to experiment with him, because otherwise he's gonna go and do it on his own. Honestly, to me, this is just a threat. I don't want to do it with somebody else in the room with us, and I don't want him to be bi. When we first got together, he was completely straight. So now you're telling me I have to worry about guys and girls? He keeps on insisting to do it. What should I do? Storytime about how I stole my mom's boyfriend. I'm 25 years old, and my mom just turned 40. She was 15 years old when she had me, so she was a really young mom. So obviously when my mom and dad were teenagers, they got pregnant with me. My mom hadn't even graduated from high school when she had me. My dad at the time, though, was in college, so he was a lot older than her. Obviously, looking back at their relationship, I think it was totally inappropriate. I've never said this to my dad, but I'm definitely open about it with my mom. Luckily, my grandparents stepped in and helped them financially. So I grew up in a really nice house going to a good school. The problem is that my parents basically had to do whatever my grandparents wanted them to. So my dad really hated my mom's parents. When I turned 13, my parents got divorced. My dad basically told my mom that he did not want to be in this relationship anymore. He was sick of her parents and that he didn't even want to live in the city we were living in. This was really hard for me, but it was even harder for my mom. She was left alone raising me while my dad went and partied. He was reliving his youth again, but this time the way he wanted it to be. I truly believe this, but my mom denies it. I think she started harboring resent for me. The fact that she had to stay home with me and take care of me. She wanted to go out with guys and drink and party, but I was always in the way. Part 2 is Story time about how I stole my mom's boyfriend. I knew my mom resented me for having to take care of me instead of being able to go out with their friends and date men. When I turned 15, things started getting really difficult between me and my mom. My dad went off to New York, completely abandoned me and my mom, and went to live his dream. He wanted to be an actor, and he actually started getting successful at it. The good thing is, he started sending my mom a lot of money. This meant my grandparents weren't having to pay for everything, and it allowed my mom financial freedom from them, which meant she could do whatever she wanted. So instead of staying home with me, my mom decided to start going out. This actually made me really happy. This allowed us to have some space from each other, and she was able to go and have fun. Our relationship got a lot better because my mom was just happier. She even got a new boyfriend. My grandparents hated it, but she was so much happier. Fast forward 10 years later. My mom and I are very close and we still live together. 2 weeks before my 25th birthday, my boyfriend broke up with me. I caught him cheating on me with my best friend, which is a whole other story time, so if you guys want to hear that one, let me know. By the way, this is not my story time, it's sending me on Instagram. My mom just started dating a new guy. This new guy was my age. Every time he would come over to be with my mom, he and I would just stare at each other. Part 3 is up. Story time about how I stole my mom's boyfriend. Every time my mom's boyfriend would come over to visit her, he and I would just stare at each other. Like I said, he was my age, and he and I got along really well. Now, nothing happened, and it's not like I was trying to do anything. My mom would talk about him all the time, and I would tell her how happy I was for her, because I really was. But before you jump into the comments to criticize me, remember that my boyfriend had just broken up with me because I caught him cheating with my best friend. It was a struggle to get out of bed every single day. I thought I was gonna marry this man. My mom had an upcoming work trip, and I knew that I was gonna be alone. I told her that I was afraid of being alone, and she said, well, I can have my boyfriend come over and take you out to dinner one day. I said sure, obviously not thinking anything would ever come of it. So one day he asked me if I wanted to go to dinner and I said yes. We were at dinner for like 4 hours and it felt like a first date. We talked about so much stuff and we had so much in common. He ended up having too many drinks and we both got a little drunk. And when we got in his car, we started making out. Then we went to my house and made out some more. And then we did the dirty. This only happened 2 days ago. Let me clarify, I don't want him. I want him to be with my mom. But now he's telling me that he wants to be with me and my mom. He's asking me to basically not tell my mom that we're hooking up and wants to stay with her. What should I do?